I never thought I'd be writing this story, but here I am, trying to make sense of how my life turned upside down after 17 years of what I believed was a solid marriage. My wife and I built everything together, our family with 3 beautiful kids, and an old house we've been slowly fixing up over the past couple of years. Money was always tight with mounting debt and 0 savings, but we managed to get by. When I met my wife, we were both inexperienced in relationships. She was actually my first and only relationship, while she'd had a couple of brief encounters before me. I always thought that made our bond special. We grew together, learned together, and faced life's challenges side by side. She was the light of my life, my partner through thick and thin. We weathered storms together, and I genuinely believed we were one of those rare couples who'd stick together no matter what. But life has a way of sneaking up on you. Between working full-time jobs, trying to renovate our house, making ends meet, and raising 3 kids, we slowly started losing ourselves. The mounting financial pressure and health issues didn't help either. My wife struggled with her weight for years, and nothing seemed to work for her. I could see how it affected her self-esteem, watching it crumble day by day. We were both fighting depression, but instead of talking about it, we retreated into our own worlds. I buried myself in computer games, while she became increasingly attached to her phone. This spring, things began to change noticeably. She started spending more time with her friends and going out to parties while I stayed home with the kids. I told myself it was good for her to blow off some steam, that maybe she'd come home happier. But deep down, something felt off. Then came the rumor. Someone had seen her kissing a stranger at a dance in a nearby town. When I confronted her about it, she claimed the guy had tried to kiss her, but she pushed him away. I wanted to believe her so badly that I forced myself to accept her explanation. I didn't want to be that jealous, controlling husband who doesn't trust his wife. As summer progressed, I couldn't ignore the changes anymore. She became incredibly protective of her phone, always keeping it close and angled away from me. One August night, I happened to see her Facebook password, and something inside me snapped. The gut feeling I'd been trying to suppress for months finally won over, and I decided to look into her accounts. What I found shattered my world completely. Not only was the kissing incident at the dance real, but it was just the tip of the iceberg. Through her messages, I discovered she'd been having intimate online conversations with 2 men from other countries. It started innocently enough on Instagram, some guy sending her compliments. But within weeks, it escalated into something I never thought my wife would do. She was sharing private photos with them, making plans about potential meetings, and getting emotionally invested in these virtual relationships. But what truly broke me was finding messages about a local married man with kids. They had met during a 2-day town festival in July, where she was supposedly just having a girls' trip with her friend. Her friend had ended up in the hospital with a panic attack that night, leaving my wife alone in their rented room. That's when this man, another married father from our small town, came into the picture. I sat on this knowledge for days, trying to keep it together for our kids while my world was falling apart. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. On a Saturday in late August, I asked my mother to watch the kids. My wife was taking some work-related classes, and when she came home that evening, I calmly asked her to sit down with me. There was no yelling, no cursing, just 2 sad people sitting across from each other, one of them hurt and angry, trying to understand what went wrong. We talked through the night. She swore nothing physical had happened with the local man, claiming the online stuff was just her trying to feel better about herself. She didn't exactly blame me, but she said she thought I had stopped loving her because of her weight struggles. When these guys started showering her with compliments, she said she got addicted to the attention. She admitted to sending them private photos just to keep the compliments coming. She told me she now realized she had been cheating, even though she hadn't seen it that way while it was happening. I wanted to believe her so badly. We agreed to try fixing our marriage and started seeing a counselor. The weeks that followed seemed promising. She became more affectionate, our intimacy improved, and we spent more quality time together. But there was this nagging feeling in my gut that wouldn't go away. I knew there was more to the story. It wasn't until our second counseling session that the full truth came out. My wife finally admitted what I had feared most. She had slept with the local man that night in July. Even worse, she had met him twice after that for what she claimed were just brief encounters with some kissing. The most painful part? She had tried to contact him again just days after I confronted her about everything in August. When she told me this, I just froze. I didn't yell or curse. I didn't do anything violent. I just sat there, feeling a strange mix of relief at finally knowing the truth and complete humiliation. The pain was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. I didn't rush to throw my ring at her or confront the other man. What would be the point? He wasn't the one who broke our marriage vows. My wife did that all on her own. The woman sitting across from me felt like a stranger. The person I thought I knew would never have done something like this. She kept saying she had been selfish and stupid, that she felt terrible about hurting me. She promised she would do anything to fix our marriage and earn back my trust. But how could I ever trust her again? How could I look at her the same way? Sure, I still loved her. 17 years of feelings don't just vanish overnight. I enjoyed being around her and seeing her smile, but every happy moment was now tainted with this stabbing pain in my heart. I wanted to make it work for our kids, and because of our terrible financial situation, we couldn't really afford a divorce. But I started wondering if staying would mean losing my self-respect completely. I mean, how do you forgive someone who didn't just make one drunk mistake, but actively chose to pursue relationships with multiple people? It wasn't just the physical affair with the local man. She had emotional and sexual connections with 2 other guys online for over 2 months. She had planned to meet them, knowing exactly what would happen if they ever got together. It felt like a complete betrayal of everything we had built together. After talking with my closest friends and reading through countless supportive messages, I finally found the courage to trust my gut. Deep down, I knew there was no way I could ever get past what she did. Last Thursday, I sat her down and told her I wanted to end our marriage. She didn't seem surprised, didn't even try to change my mind. She just kept repeating, "Nothing I say will change anything," between tears. She called in sick to work that day. We started telling our closest friends and family about the divorce, but she's been dragging her feet about telling her parents the real reason. My mom knows everything, but I agreed to keep the truth from my in-laws for now. When we met them last Sunday to drop off 2 of our kids for the school holiday, we just said we had unsolvable disagreements. It felt awful lying to them. They've been like second parents to me for almost 17 years, always supporting us both financially and emotionally, spending time with our kids. They looked so disappointed. I know I'll have to tell them eventually if my wife doesn't come clean soon, but I'm trying to avoid a war. Living in a small town makes everything more complicated. I don't want the real reasons for our divorce becoming public knowledge. It would eventually reach our kids, and they might get bullied because of it. I'd rather keep the truth within our closest circle and let everyone else believe we just grew apart. Plus, I really don't want to be known as the guy whose wife cheated on him with multiple men. Now we're dealing with all the practical stuff. We need to sell our house and find separate apartments. We've agreed to share custody, alternating weeks with the kids. I feel strongly that their legal address should be with me. It wouldn't be fair for me to pay child support after what she did. But, in our country, mothers usually get what they want because everyone feels sorry for them. Still, I'm ready to fight for my kids. The hardest part isn't the practical stuff, though. It's seeing my life plans crumble. For 17 years, I thought I knew who I was married to. Now I'm not sure if I ever really knew her at all. Sometimes I catch myself missing the woman I thought she was, but then I remember that person probably never existed. The kids are handling it better than I expected, but I see the confusion in their eyes. They're too young to understand the real reason, and I hope they never have to. I'm trying to focus on being the best dad I can be, making sure they know they're loved and that none of this is their fault. As for me, I'm taking it day by day. Some mornings I wake up feeling strong and certain about my decision. Other days I question everything. But then I remember the betrayal, the lies, the secret messages, and I know I made the right choice. My friends keep telling me I'll find someone better, someone who actually deserves my trust. Right now, that's the last thing on my mind. I need to focus on healing, on rebuilding my life, and most importantly, on being there for my kids. This isn't the ending I wanted for my marriage, but maybe it's the ending I needed to find myself again. The road ahead looks scary and uncertain, but for the first time in months, I'm not pretending anymore. There's something freeing about that. Even in the middle of all this pain.